We added QBO and began using it about 2 years ago. Adding staff members who were qualified in it and being able to do that. There are uniquenesses. I will continue to challenge our staff when I hear somebody that's more of a power user in Xero to say, hey, here's this app and we need to use this. I'm like, great, does it work with QBO? No, then it doesn't scale. We need systems that continue to talk and work together. QBO people will say, hey, this is a great app, this is a functionality in QBO, and we need to use it. I'll ask the same thing, does it work in Xero? No. So many of the tools that we continue to bring on are cross-dimensional, because at any point, I don't want a system to only be the linchpin that if it breaks, or QBO goes out of business, or Xero goes out of business, that we have no business, period. So building redundancies into this entire system. So those are the two. We've set up in logins for you. There will be more as you grow into this process and this role that you may have additional admin permissions into that to be able to assist and set up accessing client information, etc. Which is why the background and credit checks are so important for us. Okay? So those are the two accounting things. The rest kind of builds onto it and scales out from there. Okay. We use a enterprise level version of LastPass.
Oh, I love LastPass.
Okay. LastPass is virtually locked down to be inside of our network here. That allows us to be able to get the bank credentials for our clients so that we can have access only by the people who are authenticated to be here, physically or virtually.
So we do have the option to remote in to our workstations?
There is that option, and I'm working to continue to build that. Okay. Right now it's through just more traditional RDP.
And FortiClient, I think, is one of the ones we use.
FortiClient's our VPN. So the VPN is technical way to get in.
Okay.
There's a lot of different pieces that we bring in. So LastPass is what we use so that we can share folders. If you're familiar with LastPass, this is going to go a whole lot faster.
Yep, I am.
Inside of LastPass, shared folders where you can admin people who can be added to shared groups. So for us, we create the shared by the client name.
Okay.
So that we can then add you to access to this one and the 3 other staff members who are working on that client. But then all the staff members don't have to see all of the clients.
Right. Okay.
We also can then change the hide password visible for admin to access, to change, to edit. As somebody grows with us, that we can be able to build that trust and relationship together. Okay. So that's huge that you know about LastPass. Sorry, most people have never, ever heard of it.
Oh, I use it exclusively. I love it.
So right now, and let's continue to build on this. Let's build some time and rapport between us. But as we're talking, there's probably several of these things that are going to come in. But right now, I need the client side facing piece to come back and help our team out. Sure. With LastPass, one of the things as we implemented that was really quickly an issue was LastPass is built on either a person having their own credentials and sharing with us. I've not done that. So preferably if you are the owner of your company, I don't want to know your credentials.
Right.
You should have your credentials and be able to invite us as a user. But we can't create just support at Kahuna for Chase or Amex or insert any other big national banking system. Otherwise, you don't know the difference.
Okay.
So we've actually set up they're actually aliases. I'll talk to you that way, but I tell it to anybody else, client-specific emails.
Okay.
I don't tell them alias because they think, oh, you're hiding something and freaking out. But we create ABCco at Kahuna, and actually, Frank writing there, accounting.net for all of our aliases. We've bought the domain and we keep them separate. Internal email user accounts are .com. Our client ones are all .net.
Okay.
Again, that was just a semi-intentional so that it was never typoed going one way or the other. It's a nuance, though. As you're talking with somebody, you're going to have to be very specific.
Right.
The other most common, and I didn't type this together or write this together, 2 A's, 2 C's. I think Mara was maybe saying that earlier as you were talking. 2 A's, 2 C's. So ABCco, we then can direct all of those. Right now we're using a product called Help Scout. Help Scout is an online ticketing system. So other common solutions, Jira.
That's what we used at Newsfile. Jira.
2 or 3 others that are out there. If I started to Google, I would see them and go, oh, yeah. Part of that was that this had an integration with another product that we use called Infusionsoft. Actually, I think they just called that your computer's. This is an example as I'm talking about this, that this is designed that if ever we need this to be pointed to a different, if we choose Jira as a better solution than Help Scout, whatever it is, we can take these and with some basic rules, we can see the name, we can tag as a client and assign to staff member. So very basic, like common email usage. We have traditionally always been built in a Microsoft environment. 10 years ago, I realized that licensing was not going to scale. They realized that and changed it as well. Office 365 right now is so much more affordable, and there's a whole other team that has been ahead of Google for a long period of time. We've traditionally built on Microsoft. We're doing it in that 365 environment for licensing. So these don't cost us anything to be able to set up for our clients. But we can then direct and choose whichever way we want to go. Likewise, anytime you come in right now, you're going to have an invite to Help Scout. You can email out of it. The only downfall right now is some like file sharing that it's not as easy to like drag and drop into a message. Spell checking, if you don't have it in your browser, sometimes those are an issue. I've had people that they're like spell check and Grammarly check issues. You reread that, even I've done it. Holy crap, that's terrible. You know, some of those things that by using Outlook or using an actual email app, they've continued to add those things automatically. That this is more designed for a ticketing system to get stuff in and out and triggered, but it's very, very helpful to mass manage things. If somebody is out sick, takes vacation, anybody else can access that information and see which client. If a client calls in and says, hey, I haven't heard from so-and-so, you can now see the entire thread. in a single email address, however, and I'm going to discourage you from doing too much directly out of your own email as we do this, because nobody else can ever see that other information, that thread. What was shared? When was it shared?
Right.
I can, as we come into it, I'll share some more around where I was trying to leverage Infusionsoft for some of that. But in the accounting space, this is how we have traditionally set this up to be able to scale with clients.
Okay.
The problem is that most people started getting an email from somebody, and it was one person's email, and then start replying back to that email rather than back to here. And part of it was when we start people and bring them on, we call it onboarding or account setup. The other challenge with that is that we use and give them this account for LastPass credentials. So when we say you're going to invite us in, sorry, I'm bringing this back full circle so you can understand this. When you're going to invite us into your bank, go log into your bank as the owner and invite ABCco at kahunaaccounting.net as a user. Send us an invite. That invite comes into Help Scout that allows us to then go create the random generated, the email is the user ID, but the password is randomly 12 characters, 16 characters, whatever it is, within the permissions of LastPass, whether somebody can see it or not.
Okay.
This is Sandy. Hey. Yes. Yes. He's probably working. Is that something that you can defer and do after hours, or even start at the end of the day? If you want to check with him and be able to call back in end of day, even if it's like 4:30 or 4:45. I think he put the ticket in. I showed him the portal that he could initiate the ticket. If you want to respond back and just say, I'm going to plan end of day so that he knows and is expecting a call, and then you can make sure you get full access and he's off at the end of the day, that would be great. All right. It would be the same number. Actually, do the email right now. I'm not sure of his extension off the top of my head, and I'm in a different room. So, all right. Thank you. Bye. So we can get the permissions into, as I was talking about the Chase, the Amexes of the world. Amex actually is horrible. Their back-end system of how they tie connections together. We have some, we still have like 8 under a single login credential, but they client credentials because it tied our name of Kahuna Accounting to tie together. I'm like, how many Bob Smiths in the world do you have? And they all have access to each other's credit cards? Oh, that's a good idea. No. So I'm like, you guys are freaking idiots. Anyway, Amex is a different story.
Right.
But they can then invite us in. The other part of this that allows us to do is to enable two-factor. So where we log into their Chase account, and Chase says, I need to send you a code that helps you out.
Okay.
Okay. I also have right now it's actually Google Voice for text to email. So that I didn't have to go buy an SMS license and have rates per transaction. So right now I have a SMS that will also direct into Help Scout.
Okay.
So we'll give you that number that's on that contact list number of everybody's extensions and phone numbers so that you have that. It's not a local area code. Right now I'm trying to decide of how soon I have to elevate to go to a hard SMS number, only because there's been some deliverability issues that don't always come through.
Okay.
So if it's a phone two-factor where they have to call and get you to do something on the other end, that doesn't work with an automated system.
Okay.
If it's I need to text you a six-digit number, that works 99% of the time. That 1% of the time, they recognize, I think they're starting to recognize which ones are Google numbers, and they don't actually send.
Okay.
So there's no rhyme or reason. I haven't been able to identify which banks it always has a problem with or which ones it doesn't. Sometimes just try again later on.
Okay.
But if their idea of two-factor is that they have to call you, this number that we'll give you will accept and convert voice to text.
Okay.
So it can do it if it'll say your six-digit number is, and it reads it off. Repeating again, your number is, it will convert that. It does that very reliably.
Okay.
But if it needs you, press 1 to receive your code, there's nobody on the other end of that line to be able to accept that information. Okay? You'll start to see this, but again, 99% of the time, this works pretty solid.
Okay.
And the access we ask for our clients, a lot of banks in the U.S. don't understand permission levels. Sometimes we have more access than we should.
Okay.
We should not ever move funds for a client.
Right.
We should not ever need to do anything other than like pull down transactions, get statement reports, because that's how we can validate, or the teams and the people that work for us can validate that information, be able to say, yes, this account balance.
Okay.
That's the intentionality. But with 5,000 in the state of Illinois, probably, banks of all these local banks, they're all over the board. None of them have single systems.
Right.
So, questions on that so far?
Not so far, no.
Getting into my head and not too crazy?
No, pretty good.
Okay. That should be, other than using Excel to convert CSVs and stuff like that, there's some things that our team has to do for that. A lot of these accounting systems still or do provide the bank feeds, so that they should connect and automatically pull down those transactions and just feed right into here. But there are a few. If I'm on the sales roll too, if somebody says they don't have feeds, usually it's a big red flag, and I tell them, okay, I'm going to have to charge you more because there's a lot more time than it takes 30 seconds. How many times over 30 seconds over a day does that add up to?
Right.
So that's not your concern. But the feeds should be pulling back in, but helping our clients get these set up, understanding where to get this information to provide to them. If a bank account gets locked out, that somebody doesn't understand how to get this for our team, again, I'm going to say 85% of the time it all works as planned. That 15% of the time that it doesn't is where they can use some help. So one piece of your role will be helping our team get the information they need, and understanding how this ties together is going to be a big role, because you don't have to do accounting if the accounting team has all the information that they need to be able to do it. And you can have a call with a client or a client's secretary or admin assistant who has that information, who you can say, go log into the account. There should be an ad user. Here's the email address. I'm going to send it to you here. To give me that. Go into Help Scout, send it to them. This is your email address. Can you see that? Yes. Perfect. Copy and paste that. Well, how do you copy? Some of this stuff, and it bounced back. Check 2 A's, 2 C's. It's saying the same thing multiple times, but that's what ties up a lot of our team and some of our clients that are bigger clients get frustrated when they have to do those things.
Right.
So enabling us to help them through this and their staff is where we start to grow together.
Okay.
Infusionsoft. I'm gonna step into this a little bit for you. Infusionsoft is an automated marketing CRM system. The CRM, as with any CRM, has its challenges, but it is also a very powerful tool all the same. Over the years, I have tried to push more information into Infusionsoft to be a common collection ground for things, because it has so much power and so much information. It's been challenging for accounting people to navigate all the time. So over the years, I have been slowly moving it out of their normal connection, having to navigate. There's still information that some of us who've been around a while, when somebody gets stuck, is 99% of the time in Infusionsoft. And I've set up some things where we can record information into Infusionsoft without them even knowing. So anywhere that I can, and that's not, as I say that's not Big Brother. I'd be very clear about that. I don't really, I care, but I don't care to read every freaking email.
Right.
But what I do want to know is that when I've been in that role, that you're going to also take the face of being able to, hey, Susie, I hear that you're saying you've not received any information from our staff, but I can actually see on the 23rd, the 30th, the 2nd, the 9th, that they've reached out to you. Do you have those? Oh, yeah. Suddenly the conversation completely changes, and you or they don't have to be in a defensive mode or aggressive mode, either side. So it's that type of information that I prefer to be able to keep in track. And so some of this is in here.
Okay.
This is one of my certifications that I do have, is in Infusionsoft, that I have completed the training to be a certified partner for them.
Okay.
I actually helped develop a sync from Infusionsoft from its invoicing into Xero and QBO partners. So there is, they'll call it an e-commerce, but it's not a true, they'll argue it's e-commerce. It's not as great for variations of hard goods products, but it is phenomenal for recurring billing, automation, flat fee type things.
Okay.
So right now, Infusionsoft drives all of our billing for all of our clients. So this morning, actually one of them, I triggered where somebody said, hey, I need to change my credit card. I go into Infusionsoft, and our staff isn't able to do this too, and I apply a note that says this client wants to update their credit card. Sends them an email with a secure link back in so that they can type that information over SSL to put the card in. I never see it. None of our staff sees it, but charges the credit card.
Okay.
So there's power that's in it. There's also the biggest power is in marketing automation. So right now there is a new product of Kahuna's that we've been working about. Mara and Jarvis have been working very diligently for 6 weeks, 8 weeks?
With Fletcher? 4 weeks.
4 weeks. To get this up and going, leveraging some of the different automation. This morning I had scheduled time at 7:30 to try to help integrate some of the Infusionsoft pieces so that as leads come in, they go to a website, fill out a simple form, it pushes the contact information into Infusionsoft, and send them a PDF output of the report they requested, follow up with different timings of other emails. The automation of emails has scared a lot of people. Again, if you've done this with other people, you have to approach it with caution,
Right.
and it has to be worded and crafted very intentionally, so that it's not just an automated robot.
Right.
I know that. That's where leveraging some marketing team to be able to look at it helps. So, Infusionsoft right now today is where I get all of the sales leads that come in to Kahuna right now.
Okay.
When somebody goes to our site, we've got a contact/request more information. When they fill that out, as soon as it gets done, I ask them to confirm their email address for canned spam. Are you familiar with that at all? Spam limits and validating addresses and things. It's a separate email that has to go out and say, please confirm your address. This is a legitimate email and you want to receive information from me. That goes out, but the thank you page also has, would you like to schedule a call now?
Okay.
That is using a product called Calendly that ties directly into Office 365. So I can say, it looks at my calendar for today, and I've said no more than within 8 hours. So right now they couldn't schedule yet today with me, but I don't like surprises of being in here having a conversation. Suddenly somebody's calling saying, hey, I scheduled with you an hour ago. So they can schedule for a 15-minute block. It'll give me their phone number, send them a thank you message, remind me, add it to my calendar, block it out. I mean, just dynamically pulls information together.
Okay.
Not fully enabled that with everybody yet on the team, but that's a future thing as you're helping me move this in so we can keep them working as efficient. Actually, coordinator is more of efficiency of the team, making sure tools, systems, and information is at their fingertips.
That's basically what I did last place too. That's we work to make the technician's job easier. We take everything so they're just thinking of work.
Yes. So we have to have some of those things in place. We need some technicians. We're looking to scale this where the technicians don't have to live and reside here. That we and our team can start to elevate even higher to be able to have other people that are doing that work, but we can help the clients be able to interpret what's happening in their businesses. So, Infusionsoft is powerful. I'll give you basic permissions right now, but there is a lot of automation. As I've had 3 other staff members that I've trained over the years to kind of do some of this stuff. Some of it comes with the questions as you encounter things that allows me to understand that you know where else there can be some more. So, and this even comes back to your working knowledge. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. If I've got a lot of noise, sometimes I sharply say no, and just say no. Other times it's explain what you're trying to do, and when you say that, I might say, yeah, that's actually inside of this app or this one. Let me give you some permission so that we can talk about it. But now that you understand how we work with our clients, now you understand how those pieces can come together. So it's going to be a building block. It's going to take time for you to understand some things. But even this that I'm going through right now, and Mara recording it, helping us to bring team members up to date and say, here's the 3 apps you need. I've done this before, and I show all 8 or 10 apps, and it poof, blows their mind because they don't. It's too complex. But no one system does it all.
Right.
So there has to be some of these tie-ins of integration. Actually, Infusionsoft ties to Help Scout, which is why we first found it and started using it 5 years ago. But that's not crucial to be there. But if in Help Scout an email comes from a person, an individual, not just this, if they send it to that address and we see who it's from, Help Scout will go back to Infusionsoft and say, here's their phone number, so you can actually pick up the phone and call, and it will display that contact information inside of Help Scout, which is back to where I'm saying, so you don't have to go log in, but you can stay as an accountant in here and know, or does their email signature have their phone number? That type of information.
Okay.
Again, I'm going to try to stay high level.
Sure.
There's a lot of detail that can come back in, but don't be afraid to continue to ask more questions. Part of this is
Well, I
a
won't.
journey for you
Mhm.
to be able to learn the information and the
Right.
process.
Okay.
And some of the technical capabilities are things that a lot of this team doesn't have the context to understand yet.
Mm-hmm.
So me spewing doesn't make sense. I have to wait till the question comes,
Mhm.
or I see a challenge that then we can go address
Right.
and be able to build solutions. Okay. Time Doctor. Time Doctor is actually used and was created by a firm. Actually, I think they're out of Eastern Bloc Europe, but it was designed for independent contractors to be able to work remotely
Mm-hmm.
and log their time on their own scale or their own pace.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're billing somebody by the hour and you're working anywhere in the world to somebody else, you can block your time. You can actually prove your work where it will capture screenshots so that it's like, yeah, I was working in your account. Here's screenshots every 15 minutes to show that I was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a massive workforce around the globe. Communication is still always a challenge, but there's a lot of high power, intelligent workers as well.
Right.
And this was a tool that was designed for that. Time Doctor actually integrates with Zero Practice Manager. Don't be confused. That Practice Manager is more of a title than a full functionality.
Mm-hmm.
It's not super great.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have our team log their time in Practice Manager. So right now you have an invite from Practice Manager and from Time Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you need to do is first establish your account in here.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll go to Time Doctor and say, yes, I'm making a connection, and this information will tie back forth. You should never have to go back in here.
Okay.
But the information, so this has a little simple app, so my team can say, yep, I'm working on ABC company, start my timer to start recording my time. Now, some of that is on efficiency. Again, I'm going to reiterate. I expect you as a staff member to be responsible and take care of our clients.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want to know every single minute of every hour.
Mm-hmm.
But we do flat bill our clients. And the only way I can come back at the end of each month is to take an aggregate and say, how much time did we spend on this client? Is that growing? Is the client's revenue growing? Do we need to come back and adjust and renegotiate
Mm-hmm.
the pricing of where we've got them set? That's the only way I can do this. Ideally, and actually, again, I've seen it in shops where aviation mechanics or truck mechanics have to block time every hour, every minute of every hour of every day.
Yeah.
And I've seen where people get into that mindset, and it's, I'm going to go take a break on somebody else's dime so that I don't get in trouble for not bucking my time.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to balance that.
Right.
So this isn't a, hey, Joe, I see you spent 6.5 minutes on that. Can you get that down to 5.8?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not it. But if somebody's consistently, as a team member, let's go to the other side of the health. Team member is logging 10 and a half hours a day. because they have a high workload. Wait a minute, we need to actually be making sure for their health and well-being that we're hiring somebody that's at least a half-time job, or is that client asking more of that staff member, because that happens too, that they'll say, oh, you can just add this to my tasks too. Would you just do that for me too? Oh, it won't take you long. And pretty soon that won't take you long adds up to multiple hours, and we're upside down doing more work, and it's harder to say, this isn't just about dollars for hours, but we have to be responsible to be able to pay our staff and be profitable as well. So, I'm giving you some philosophy of Kahuna in this, and I have seen those other sides. We still have to be responsible for our time, to our staff, to our clients, and be able to measure it. And this is the mechanism that we've got set in place right now. If ever it didn't require Big Brother concepts and a tracker based upon, because all of these apps are built web-based, and we could track URLs, and the URLs weren't randomly generated, so that Xero.com/ABC company doesn't do that. It randomly generates characters all the time. So none of these apps give me that time to just say, and I wish they did, just for a way to say, yeah, I can see they worked on this client. They were actively working on this client for that day. We wouldn't have to do this.
Right.
This requires a manual. I'm changing tasks. I'm doing things. It requires manual intervention. I wish we could get away from that, because that would save everybody a lot of extra time, and even the feeling that somebody's watching them. It's not. That's not the goal. We have had clients before that, or team members who were doing logging 3 hours a day. Okay, what are we doing? Let's have a conversation. So, I mean, there's extremes to that, but you have to take breaks. You have to get up and walk to your computer. As you're starting new, it's going to take you longer to figure out some of these things. We know those things inherently happen. You've been here for a year, a client you've been working on for 8 months, and suddenly things start changing. There's something else going on. And quite honestly, just personally, are you okay? That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we cover it all, guys?
I think so.
Okay.
How many gigs was that?
It's all on Loom, so.
Okay.
Not on my computer.
I know Google has it.
Google